You introduced an impeachment bill in the parliament, didn't you?
I did, Andre.
What has happened to the impeachment bill from 2020?
So the history of it is that Bruce Golding, he introduced an impeachment bill when he was prime minister, shortly before he got into his problems, and he ceased to be prime minister, and that bill was never passed, and it fell out of the parliament. Yes. When the thing happened with the MP out over in Westmoreland and the whole issue on the video and the beating of a woman in a stool in a car park, you know, it was such an offense to the conscience of the nation to see that, which has never been denied. You know, I said, look, we have to revive this impeachment bill. And I looked at it, and I'm a lawyer by profession. I've done a lot of development of legislation when I was Minister of Justice. So I did some adjustments to take care of things like that.
Yes.
And I tabled the bill. I brought what's called a private member's bill, not a government bill. Me as an MP, opposition MP, as tabled it 3 years ago, I think. And I wanted it to be sent to a joint select committee. So you could come there, and if you want to talk to Parliament on your views as to what it should say or shouldn't say, or anyone else, you can come and do so. And we can get the legislation, improved, and then it goes to and it's passed into law. They have not allowed it to move forward. They have not taken. And in fact, the constitutional.
They're not allowed to move forward because who leading the nation probably you'd use that to impeach it.
And you see, the Constitutional Reform Committee that they set up.
Thank you to touch on that.
It was the impeachment legislation that Bruce Golding wasn't doing something of his own, It was something that out of the constitutional reform discussions and report of the 1990s, which had crystallized into some agreed positions. Impeachment was one of those. So, however, the Constitutional Reform Committee that has been formed in the last couple of years.
Yes. They haven't taken on the issue of impeachment.
No, they have rejected it. They have rejected it. So the Constitutional Reform Bill that they tabled in December doesn't have anything in it dealing with impeachment.
That is why you are saying that you're concerned about the way in which constitutional reform is being done in this country.
That's one of the reasons. There are others, but that is one of them. Yes.
But we can't talk on the CCJ. You're going to come potentially for other programs so we can discuss the issue.
Other issues, yes. Sure. We can do that another time, Andre.
So you're talking about impeachment, but I see you're calling for a commission of inquiry.
Oh, yes. This SSL saga is a disgrace.
Yes, that is a hot matter in this country, Mr. Gold.
Yeah. We, and I must tell you, it was under the People's National Party that developed the regulatory system in its modern form.
Yes.
With the Financial Services Commission dealing with investments and securities in the insurance and pensions, and the Bank of Jamaica regulating banks and deposit-taking institutions. And we have really done well as a nation in avoiding problems in the financial sector, coming out of the era of the 90s when we had that problem then. SSL has gone under, not because of any problems in the system, but internal problems to do with fraud within that institution. And their problems were known to the regulator for some time, and the regulator had commenced action to try and ensure that they turned it around and sorted out the problem. And then at some point under this government, that ended. And the thing really drifted until the proverbial thing hit the fan. And, it turned out that our sprint legend, Usain Bolt, and
along with
200 persons or whatever the number is, have been fleeced, and they can't get their money, And I think it's tragic because it's such a high-profile situation, and people not only in Jamaica but our Jamaicans overseas, and no doubt other persons who are looking on are thinking, well, how can that happen in a country where you have a regulator and this is a licensed institution? And who is being held accountable for it? Right now, I believe it's only one person, who's a relatively low-level employee who's before the court for it. So I'm saying we need to have a commission of inquiry.
How soon are you proposing to launch a commission of inquiry into SSL?
I don't see any reason for any delay. The Minister of Justice under our watch will be tasked with preparing the necessary documents to set up the commission of inquiry right away. That will be a priority business.
So you're saying in the first 6 months, Mark Golding-led administration will launch a commission of inquiry. What about the Kroll report? Would you make the Kroll report public?
I think the Kroll report and the Ken Tomlinson report, he was the temporary manager, and he must have delivered a report of his temporary management. Those documents should be made public. If there are things in there that are so sensitive that they could compromise legal matters that are underway, those can be redacted. But things that don't meet that standard should be disclosed, and the report should be disclosed.
So you stand by the word that if there are aspects of it that needs to be, but you stand that you plan to make that report public? Yes,
we've called for it, and
that who must be prosecuted will be prosecuted and locked down.
Correct. Oh. Yes, that is important, because how can you have confidence if these things happen and nobody is held accountable? It's not right, and I think that it's a blot on our reputation as an investment destination, and we need to ensure that we correct that. I'm not talking about witch hunts. I'm somebody who believes in fairness, believes in due process, believes in proportional, punishment fitting the crime and that sort of thing. But I don't believe in impunity, and I don't believe in a lack of accountability. Especially in issues like this, which have become a national and international scandal. Besmirching the image and reputation of our country.
And on that point of the law, you echoed yesterday that you have started a lawsuit for Portmore, becoming parish.
Yes.
The former head of the ECJ, Professor Errol Miller, says that if Portmore is constituted a parish, we are going down a very slippery slope of constitutional crisis.
Yeah.
The issue of Portmore, Mr. Golding, gerrymandering is of great concern.
Yes.
You said yesterday that even the utterances of a former senior minister who spoke about the reason for the cross-bordering of Portmore is cause that it needs to be corrected.
Yes.
What is the leader of the opposition saying tonight on the issue of Portmore?
Portmore was essentially built by the People's National Party governments over the years. Greater Portmore scheme under Michael Manley and then PJ. Previously in the 70s, a number of communities were developed and so on. And it is a very large community. And they wanted some autonomy in how they govern themselves. And this is 20 years ago I'm talking about. And a process of engagement and consultation was followed. And they wanted, for example, to have a mayor that they can elect themselves directly. Each resident who is entitled to vote should be able to vote for their own mayor. They wanted to ensure that their civic organizations could be represented on the committees of their council. We passed legislation then to make that happen. And as you know, George Lee was the first mayor, and there have been a series of mayors since. There's been a JLP mayor, there have been PNP mayors, and the current mayor is from the People's National Party. They are not happy with the situation politically. And the minister that you mentioned, said it publicly on our platform that when they go through this exercise of creating a parish out of Portmore, they're going to cut off certain areas which they feel tend to lean towards the People's National Party and get certain benefits as a result of that. And we're saying that is not a basis upon which you can set boundaries, especially electoral boundaries. We have an electoral commission. Both parties are represented on that commission. There are independent commissioners who are reputable people, fine Jamaicans, who are there to ensure that the electoral system is sound and that free and fair elections are guaranteed. Since the very violent election of 1980, we have seen where political violence has largely disappeared in Jamaica. And it is because the system has been improved and people feel that there are free and fair elections in the country. Now, to use the law and the majority in Parliament to pass an act saying you're creating a parish out of Portmore, but what we're really doing is setting the boundaries of that parish so that you cut through existing constituencies, which will necessitate a realignment because the Constitution does not allow a constituency to lie in two different parishes. So it's going to mean there has to be a realignment around your new parish boundary, which you have fixed to get a political advantage, as you see it. And we say that is a corrupt use of power. We say that is very improper and dangerous for Jamaica's democracy. And we filed a constitutional motion on Monday to seek the court's relief from this, including the striking down of that legislation. And we intend to pursue that litigation vigorously.
That even if you have to go to the Privy Council, you plan to?
If necessary, because it's still our final court. So, if we need to take it there, we'll take it there.
But on the matter of the ECJ and Portmore, aren't you concerned that the Electoral Commission of Jamaica needs to come out of the office of the Prime Minister?
Well, put it this way, it has to be in some ministry, because when their matters come to Parliament, it's brought through a minister.
Okay.
But what I'm very uncomfortable with, though, is the political ombudsman having been essentially eliminated, and the contrivance, this gimmick of making the electoral commissioners collectively as one body, the political ombudsman. It's not right. We voted against it when they brought that legislation to Parliament a year or so ago. And we went through the local government elections with that system in place. And effectively, there was no political ombudsman to deal with the issues that came up during the campaign. There are many
issues already coming up in this campaign.
There are. I mean, we've seen situations where people's billboards are being defaced and that kind of thing. Those are the kind of things that the political ombudsman needs to jump on to quickly, bring the parties together, and ensure that it doesn't lead to other things that we do, undesirable consequences. It's important, we're going to be going into a general election, and we have no mechanism in place right now to address those kind of complaints, and it's not good for the country. And I've called on the Prime Minister to ensure that we restore the political ombudsman to an independent office who can be the person to adjudicate those kind of disputes and recommend to the general secretaries of the two parties how to address them so that they can be resolved.
How recent have you called on him to address the issue of the office of the political ombudsman?
I did it yesterday in my speech. And I've been saying it previously, but I said it in Parliament yesterday in the budget debate.
Wow. So you believe that he'll respond to the cry of reinstating a political ombudsman for this election?
I don't know. They have not indicated that they see it as a necessity. They're the ones who created this problem. They're the ones who, through their majority, passed legislation to essentially eliminate the political ombudsman, because by making the ECJ commissioners the political ombudsman, it really means we don't have a political ombudsman. Remember, the way the ECJ works is through consensus. So they're dealing with sensitive issues around boundaries and electoral matters. And the way that they resolve it is that they thrash it out. And if the two parties don't agree, then the independent commissioners deal with it. And then whatever the final decision is, there's a convention, a practice where the parties accept it and live with it, even if it's not exactly what they wanted. And that's how we've been able to move forward. And our model is regarded around the world as an exquisite model, as a very successful model in how to deal with these matters. The political ombudsman deals with contentious issues where he said this, you said that, things have gone wrong, and you need to step into that situation and resolve it. Make a decision as to who you think was wrong, get them to apologize, get them to make address, and so on. It is not the role of the ECJ commissioners to get into that kind of affray.
Yes. But Mr. Golding,
yes,
on that point, the ECJ put out a statement over the weekend that there are fake IDs that are in circulation.
Yes.
How do you plan to deal with this issue of fake voter IDs circulating?
Well, we need to ensure that our indoor agents and the people who are in the polling stations and outside, are properly trained and are alert to this issue. And we've been in dialogue with the Electoral Office of Jamaica as well to ensure that IDs are thoroughly checked against the records. And so that if there are fake IDs that are presented where a picture doesn't correspond, to what is on record, or that person can be identified and appropriately dealt with. So, we're very uncomfortable with it. That is not something anybody should feel comfortable with. But, we're just trying to be extra vigilant so that it doesn't become a problem.
When last has there been a Vale Royal talk with Mark Golding and Andrew Holness?
Boy, donkeys years ago, as my granny would say. I don't know. The last time was a good while back, over a year, I think, And there are some issues which we need to discuss and try and resolve, including issues to do with constitutional reform, for example. And I don't think that we can achieve much in the area of constitutional reform if both parties are not on board. And they know we're not on board with what they're doing. So they should really try and engage with us in a respectful manner and let us discuss it and see if we can find common ground. And I spoke that yesterday in my speech, but that's for another occasion.
Another occasion.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit more in your presentation. Yesterday, you thoroughly carried the discussion about the reform of healthcare.
Yes.
As we speak, many of our hospitals don't have a CT scan machine.
Yeah.
CT scans and MRI are outsourced. You said that under PNP administration, there will be at least one CT scan and MRI in each parish as a start. You also spoke about primary care versus what is happening now about knowing your numbers.
Yeah.
Operating theaters, the cries of many Jamaicans is that they go into the hospitals, no ventilators, they have to be on the corridors, all of that each week, each day. What does a reform of healthcare under Mark Jefferson Golding administration look like?
Well, we want to shift away from these mega projects, which, involve mounting billions of dollars, like the Cornwall Regional Hospital, which started as a $2 billion project and is now at over $21 billion 7 years later, and it's still not functioning properly. That is a disgrace, and nobody has been held to account for it. So we really want to enhance the delivery of healthcare in the clinics and hospitals. Patients go to the hospital to be diagnosed as to what's wrong and to be treated, and then to return home and feel better, And we have a problem right now because we're not doing screening at the level that we need to do. And I read some appalling statistics, which I want to repeat since I have your audience and you here.
Yes,
in Jamaica, 70% of colon cancers, that's a bowel cancer, are now are diagnosed at advanced stages. When you're in real problems, not early on where it can be dealt with much more effectively. 70%, 90% of breast cancer are detected by a lump over a year after the cancer started. Prostate cancer is normally diagnosed after it has spread beyond the prostate.
Wow. 50%
of diabetic patients, 40% of hypertensive patients, that's sugar and pressure, they have no idea that they have the disease. 50% of people with diabetes don't know they have diabetes. And 40% of people with pressure don't know they have pressure.
Mighty God, Marky G.
Yeah.
It is really bad.
It is bad. And we need to put a proper screening process in place, because a lot of these things can be dealt with, with very successful outcomes.
Yes.
If you catch it early and you deal with it early. So we plan to launch national screening programs to identify these diseases that are the top killers of our people and treat them early and more effectively. Prevention and early treatment are easier, cheaper, and more effective than late cure. So that's one aspect of us, of what we plan to do. We also see the need to ensure that operating theaters are properly maintained.
Theaters that Christoph done don't have working?
That's right. KPH, 4 theaters closed. Cornwall Regional, no surgery. St. Anne's Bay, Anotto Bay, National Chest Hospital, all of these have non-functional operating theaters. It is a terrible situation. And, there's been really such poor attention to maintaining equipment, basic equipment, air conditioning units. Right now, there's a mold problem at KPH.
My God.
Yeah, as a result of AC units not working as they should. So, the emphasis needs to be on ensuring that the things that are necessary for basic healthcare that is needed by our people to be delivered in a dignified way, in a way which is accessible to them, that is not being done. And the standard of care in the public health system has suffered. And you see that there have been problems with industrial unrest, with all levels, even the consultants at the highest level of the system have taken their own form of action. The situation is in crisis. We have an excellent spokesperson who has been in the public health system for many years. He's a consultant surgeon in his own right. He's been the head of medical.
So you have confidence in a Dr. Alfred Dawes rather than a doctor to do this work that is necessary.
Yeah, I have confidence in our man has worked in the system and knows medicine. Mm-hmm.
I realize that the key portfolios for growth in this country, you find the professionals to get the work done, because you align a Dawes to healthcare, you align an educator to education.
Yeah.
You go to entrepreneurship and innovation. You took up a young Andre Horton and you aligned him there.
And he's an entrepreneur too, as well as
an entrepreneur. Yeah. So is this the kind of visionary leadership that we should get in terms of aligning the professionals to the ministries to get the work done, to make things go in the right direction?
Yes, that's right. And, in the justice era, we have a very experienced and senior attorney, Donna Scott Motley, highly respected in that area as well. Mm-hmm. I believe we need to put the best talent, the talent that has the most experience and knowledge of their area in the right positions to get the best results. And that's my job, really, is to try and achieve that as the person who makes those decisions.
But I want to ask you, there have been some utterance from the Prime Minister and his surrogates that they will not surrender Jamaica to the PNP. How do you plan to deal with that?
I spoke about it yesterday in my speech. I said that is a very damning statement. That is not a statement I've heard any leader of a country say before. The JLP don't own Jamaica. The PNP don't own Jamaica. The people of Jamaica own Jamaica. And they have a right to choose the government that they want every 4 to 5 years. That's why we have a constitution. You can't be telling the people of Jamaica that the opposition can't win an election. It is a very anti-democratic and dictatorial tone. And this is from somebody who made his senators sign pre-signed undated letters of resignation so that he could ensure that if they didn't vote the way he wanted on certain issues, he could get rid of them. And that was struck down by the court. This is the same Prime Minister who appointed the Chief Justice of the country and put him on probation. So he could say, test whether or not he was comfortable with him when we have separation of powers.
On the lines of dictatorship, Mark Golding.
Well, I'm saying there's a tendency that we're seeing. And those utterances were consistent with that tendency. So I had to drape him up about it yesterday.
Drape him up!
Because he has to understand that when he does these things, there are people who will speak out against it. The Jamaican people have a right to choose the government they want and to get rid of the government they don't want. And no prime minister should tell them anything else.
Rude. Disrespectful. So you say you have to drape him up and deal with him business.
Well,
Holding. I know that I just want to spend a little bit more time because...
I know, because we're kind of gone over already.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Some of them over there saying that them need to see your passport to see whether or not you're fully Jamaican now. Or according to them, they want to know if you did rescind your British visa. What is your response to like a Daryl Vaz tonight?
Daryl Vaz was a dual citizen in breach of the Constitution. Because he was not a Commonwealth dual citizen. He was a dual citizen outside of the Commonwealth, which is not permitted by our Constitution. The matter was taken to court, and the court ruled that that was improper, and that was when he decided to give up his U.S. citizenship. My father was from the United Kingdom, and as a youth coming up, I was entitled to British citizenship by descent. I'm born in Jamaica. I was born at University Hospital. I lived my life in Jamaica. I've never worked anywhere else in Jamaica. I did some studying in the UK, and that was it. So I had the British passport. It wasn't an issue because our Constitution allows it. Yeah. However, when it became an issue last year, and there was a big kerfuffle about it, I said, let me check out how the people of Jamaica feel about it. Yeah. And we did our own poll. We didn't publish. We do polls all the time to assess what's going on and how people feel about things. And when I saw that there was a good enough chunk of Jamaicans who didn't think that their leader should have a dual nationality, I said, here what? I don't want my status to be an issue. I don't want my status to, for example, in any seat where we have a candidate that's a close seat, for it to be used as a thing that might make their chances not as strong as we want. So I said I would renounce it, and I have renounced it. And I paid £400 and something to renounce it, and the renunciation came through in August last year. In fact, I can show it. If you have 2 minutes, I can go get the document and hold it.
Prove it to the Markiji, Jamaica. Bangarang Markiji, say I prove it tonight, Jamaica. They himself going to show on tonight, Jamaica. Ball out, producer, the program nice. Ball out, ball out.
Ball out. Whoa, yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out from Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody, man or woman.
Yeah, man. Yes, Andre. So as I said, in August it came through. So here is the cover letter. How am I going to make you see it now? It's difficult, eh? I don't know if you can read. That's addressed to me.
Yes.
Yeah. And the date.
Home office, see it there?
Home office, yeah. And the date, you can see the date?
Yeah, the UK. Bring it up a little bit more, Mr. Golding. See there, the reference and all of those something.
Yes. The date is right. The date is right here where my finger is. You can see it.
August 5th. Also, it was the day before independence.
There you go. All right. And it's captioned renunciation of British citizenship. You see it?
See there, backside. See there.
Yes.
Did what the proofs in Marky G did get there.
So that's the cover letter. Yeah, that's cover letter signed by this person, whoever that's a officer of the
Leslie Davis.
Leslie Davis, UK Visas and Immigration Department 73. All right. Yeah. So that's the cover letter. And this is a certificate. No.
Yes. The UK. See there? Declaration of Renunciation. See there, Jamaica. Why would the man be telling a lie?
Yeah. And it's signed over here on the back. See, same. See. So this is it. And it has a seal and everything. Where is it?
Mr. Golding, you need not to say anything more to them.
Yeah. That's it. I'm glad I got the chance to, to be honest, let me tell you, it's my personal life. I've said it, I told the media from when it happened, it was carried in the Gleaner and so on. I thought people would accept what I say. I'm accustomed to telling the truth. Yes. But Daryl has continued to make an issue of it for whatever reason. Yeah, and there you go. So there you have it. All right?
So you silenced the argument and done the argument now.
Done the argument. Argument done.
Yeah. Argument done.
So right now, I need a visa.
Hey!
If I want to go to the UK. And I haven't got one. I haven't applied yet. But
when you become Prime Minister, in a few more months, I'm sure your team will see to it that all of those visas right across the hemisphere and the world is dealt with, so that you can go and renew. I don't think it would be a problem. As a leader of the opposition, I have a diplomatic passport and so on. So, it's not an issue. I just haven't had the need to go through the process because I haven't been. I would want to ask Matthew Samuda if he could equally do the same tonight.
Yeah, that would be an interesting question.
I would want Minister Matthew Samuda to equally show the renunciation of his British passport or his British citizenship. Because if Mark Golding has done it, I'm equally sure that everyone else who has rescinded should be able to prove it. Who agree, Jamaica? That Matthew Samuda should be able to show to the country and to the public that he has rescinded his British visa. And we're not talking about the next 2 weeks. We're talking about tomorrow morning. He has exclusive right to some media houses that Mr. Golding wouldn't have exclusive to. So I'm sure that Minister Samuda should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Golding.
Thank you very much, Andre. I have to.
Final, because there's a final thing.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Are you concerned about the police killings that have started at the beginning of this year?
Well, put it this way. The numbers are significantly up, and, I fully support the law enforcement and our brave police officers who put themselves in danger to keep us safe. But, we have a history, and history has necessitated the establishment of institutions, independent institutions, so that where somebody steps over a certain line, the citizen has some recourse and there's some accountability for that. And that is very important. And the Indicom was set up by the Jamaica Labour Party. It came under their watch, and I give them credit for that. So, when you see the numbers going up in a fairly drastic way or a fairly significant way, put it that way, it is some cause for concern.
It's terrorism.
I don't want to judge the matter. I don't want to judge the matter. But, the body cameras, for example, which is a device that is used internationally, so that when law enforcement go on special operations and there might be a situation of confrontation, they can show that they've acted in accordance with the law. They use force if necessary, but only if necessary, and so on. They have that protection so that if there's an accusation made against them, they have it on video recorded that they did what they had to do and they didn't do anything that they shouldn't do. But we're not seeing any real move to put that in place. And
so
we're seeing excuses.
Will be instituting full body camera as a part of your crime plan?
We will work with the police and ensure that is adopted as a normal practice. So that, we have that kind of thing to protect the police and protect the citizen. I think it's important so that the people as a whole, especially in communities where these types of operations happen more often, that the citizens have confidence in the police. Because it's when you have confidence in the police that the police get information. And it's the information that enables the police to take necessary action to keep us safe. So there's a symbiotic relationship. There's a benefit to both sides to having a good relationship between the citizen and the police. The police understand that. And so I want to encourage things that would make that stronger so have a better and safer Jamaica.
But there was one thing that the PNP administration did. You invested significantly in intervention programs, such as Unite for Change.
Correct.